Greetings once more. Well, how are all of you? I hope you've been enjoying me tales. Of course, we did take a turn here. The grand battle of the Eye, the third invasion by Cheliax, and certainly it was successful, driven off. But not without major losses. And now, something new is a-brewing. A battle, perhaps. A division. All's not right in the Shackles. This, of course, is not the first time things have happened. But perhaps this is one that is more noticeable, at least in history. But there are still many things that must be told. Tales to tell. Things that establish when the great final battle, the end of my story will happen. Because it's coming soon. But for now, if you want to hear my tales continue, well, our pirate friends have got some globe-trotting adventures still to go on, and some talking around with various important folks. Things to do, things to plan. Lords, overlords, to undermine. Alright, greetings, welcome everybody to Buccaneers of the Shackled Sea. It's one of these I'm going to open up, it's going to go over top of it. I think it is.
I don't know, guys. I don't think this narrator's got our best interest at heart.
Never. Best interest at heart? That just is crazy talk.
This narrator sounds unreliable.
So,
this narrator is slightly omniscient, I think. He just, I don't know how he knows literally everything that happens, and I'm like, that's the minor.
Your personal life.
So,
it's the Watcher from Marvel.
Totally the Watcher from Marvel.
The Watcher.
He's just a stalker, bro. We should kill him.
I actually imagine that it's like a crazy old version of someone from your ship or one of you.
Yaalkol.
It's really just it's Yaalkol when he's like, somehow he's lived to be into like this.
Yaalkol, but he's 30.
He's like that.
He's like 300. No, he's like 300 years old.
Yeah, it's gonna be like I'm gonna start the story as the game ends. It's gonna be like on my Bilbo shit.
Everyone else is long dead.
You're not sure how you've survived?
I'm just ancient. I have lived beyond the stars. I've seen the lights go on.
You technically made a deal with death, so that could happen.
Well,
Jesus, that'd be the fucking
just that
funny thing.
Scene from Futurama of Bender floating in space, but you're just talking to yourself.
That's such a good one. I had to watch like 8 shorts to get the whole scene of that episode.
Oh, I feel old now. God, the show's not even that old.
It's on
It is pretty old.
Look,
it's on again though. There's new episodes.
That's pretty good too. Surprising.
Yeah,
it is pretty good? Oh, I haven't heard anything about it. So
it's surprisingly good.
That's good.
I like it.
So, big thing I have provided is a list of council members, a full one, and I will mention. I'm gonna address this to the people, the watchers can understand who I've talked about on this list that you might need to actually go talk to. Alejandra Boish, she's very concerned with. She's running some kind of mining operation on her area. She basically, the best way to describe her is that when she takes over a pirate ship, rather than giving them a lot of options to basically, when she pirates a ship, instead of killing a bunch of the crew or basically recruiting some of the crew members, what she does is she captures everyone there and basically says, okay, I've captured you. You're going to basically be my slave for 2 years, working for me, and after that, I will let you go. So it's not quite letting everybody go.
Pirate.
No, and she does treat them very well because she basically enslaves people to mine for her. And after 2 years, she does let them go. So it is a known fact. But the thing is, she's probably not the worst pirate, but not the best either, because she's not the murder everybody, but she is not great. But that's what she's concerned with. Brandismar Wash, well, rumor is he's being haunted by his dead wife, and a lot of horrible things had happened to him in the recent years. He attempted, basically, he blames the Master of Gales. for stuff that happened to him, which may or may not be true, because none of it seems to be directly related to the Master of Gales, but he's on the same island as him. And, things like his wife dying and a lot of other stuff happen. Anyway, he's more concerned with that kind of stuff. Let's see here. The Wise Council of Shenshu Bay, the 3 Tien pirate lords. You'd have to go to them directly to get them to show up, basically. They have a different way of doing things. Your choice what to do about Havlis, Grud, and Wide Olga. They're at each other's throats, and,
Honestly, I still feel like that's not worth the effort.
Well, it could be entertaining.
Mm-hmm. One person that basically would be very unlikely to join and be hard to convince would be Hemdak Wavebaiter. He's on the mainland, on a town on the mainland, and because it's near Port Peril, he oftentimes seeks favor with the Hurricane King and a lot of things he does. It's obvious to keep the protectorate of Port Peril and the Hurricane King, but he's basically a suck-up in that way.
And try to say his name 5 times fast.
Yeah, really. Longbeard, you'd need to convince. Moriel Breakwater and Vendigo Palpinth would need to be convinced. There's a lot I can tell you about Longbeard off the top of my head. Moriel and Vendigo, they make strange deals to keep Sanguine from attacking their town. They are also on the Sanguine coast. They're they're basically on Shark Island, but they're not near Olo. There are another people that are on there. Panawal Ola is on Queen Bess. Basically, technically is a member of a council, but hasn't technically been a pirate captain for a lot of years, because basically retired to being a priest on the island. Not the high priest, just a member of the priesthood there. And protects the town itself rather than the Holy Island. The Holy Island has a bunch of priests and stuff there. So basically, has put themselves as the kind of protector of the town itself. They're still a member of the council. They're still technically a pirate. They just don't do pirating stuff or leave. They're doing Besmara stuff at there. So you could convince them to come and join this. And technically speaking, you have a important priest priestess.
Who?
I don't know. Yeah, that could maybe convince them to show up, but you would have to address them directly, basically.
I'm important. Yeah. Okay. We can go there.
Yeah. So.
Do you want to do that? Talk to these people.
Yeah, actually, I do.
All right, cool.
I feel like we should make whatever allies we can.
A lot of these, you're not necessarily trying to convince them to be allies. You're just trying to convince them that basically Karavek Bonefist shouldn't be the Hurricane King and we need a new one. And to at least vote, join the vote for that. Even right now, you're not even convincing them to vote that way. You're convincing them to show up to be able to vote. Which,
no, I got you.
Yeah, so we're like 3 degrees of separation on it's not that difficult for a lot of them, but these are the difficult people that I'm saying, tend to not be involved with any Pirate Council stuff currently. Like, some of them, like Bradesmar Wash, used to be a lot more active until, shit went down with him and, his wife died, now his wife is supposedly a ghost cursed to haunt him or something, that... It makes you less concerned with the actual stuff that's going on, other than it even makes you less concerned with your own town sometimes. But, not his town is horribly cursed because of a lot of horrible things that have happened there, including the stuff that killed his wife. Anyway.
We could go.
I feel like it's a him problem.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we get too deep into it, I'm just finalizing our wealth that we've gained. Anyone need a headband of wisdom? Or am I just going to sell that? That's the only question I have.
I don't know if anybody that doesn't have a headband could possibly have one, but that's the only thing I could say.
No, I have a headband of Alluring Charisma.
Cool. Yeah, I got something on my head.
Cool. We're good. We can continue. Sorry, I was
Okay.
just
And you
double checking
saw
that one item.
You saw that I put in the belt of incredible dex, right? Okay. Because I
So-
took the
Oh
other
yeah.
The
You have a belt pack,
first
yeah.
thing you were planning on doing was heading to Kaptesh and taking care of the Alkenstar stuff before any of this, because also probably you've gone to the Island of Empty Eyes. Did you rename it yet, or I can't remember if you did.
Yeah,
Dragon's
it's
Roost,
lit.
though.
Dragon's Roost.
Dragon's Roost. You went to Dragon's Roost, and you basically talked to the people that run your city that you've been building there, your town that you're building there, and they're like, we can come up with a specialized, you've got this nice fortress, which is more of a fortress than a place that you host guests. Yes, you can there, but we can make something, a little bit separate that would be great to host guests. We can work on that. Probably take a little bit to build, at least a month. But you've got that time that I talked about. So, anyway. That can be easily arranged and set up. We can kind of put together any designs or anything as you want as you're building it and as you visit if you want to add anything to it. But, so, you had been planning for this at some point in time, and certainly your good friend Jacub could have definitely been arranging to figure out stuff of somewhere to teleport to into Kapesht.
Yeah, Nat ordered in a book for him
Yeah.
to make it full circle.
I mean, that helps, I guess.
And that's what do you call it? There's a spell called Share Memory, right?
I don't think any of you would have been there, though.
Well, no, but we could find someone that's been there.
Haven't we?
We're in.
A bit out of the way.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's one.
It is a
option,
trade city, so it is it might have people, but it is a bit out of the way. Anyway,
It's a wizard spell.
So, all right. Most likely, you could teleport somewhere. It almost
is
might
big
be
enough. We'll be somewhere than that. vicinity.
Yeah. All right. I need one of you to roll a percentage dice.
Not it. I vote
Don't
Erik.
make me. That's
Because
always
I-
the worst. I'll do it.
Look,
Boom.
don't kill us.
I knew you.
37.
would do it.
Don't do it.
37.
That's safe, I think. That's in the middle.
Uh-huh. Let me just see here.
Don't say a Haol like that.
Say it exactly like that to make him nervous.
All right. The good news is you did want to roll low. So that's pretty damn good. So, you're going to be showing up in Kapesht. Let's see here. All right. So, is it just the 5 of you, or are you bringing anybody?
Just the party, I think.
Okay.
I think everyone else is on
Some kind of
overdrive doing
work.
other things. Yeah.
Yeah, that
You know,
is fine.
Talking to people.
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need someone to roll me, let me just check here. It'll be one of those probably. So roll me a D5, someone.
Yeah, and I guess for for continuity, we have maybe our other crews like Cog and stuff and Congubar, they're talking to the lower pirates that are not big enough for us to talk to them directly. They're
Yeah.
for our minions to go talk.
Actually, wait, no. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, roll me a D10, re-roll a 10. Someone.
Sure.
I got it.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Let's see what you got here. You got a 3. Okay. 1, 2. Okay. Now, Momo, you can roll me a D10.
Oh god.
A lot of rolling.
Oh, that's a 1, baby. That's a 1, baby.
I mean, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Judging by that,
When the
it's at least-
DM is laughing like a
judging by
hyena.
that, it's at
Oh,
least
it's hilarious. All right. So, you teleport and
Relax, okay?
boom! There's this commotion as you find yourself in the middle of what looks to be a lecture hall in the middle of a lecture.
That's okay. That's great.
I just leave.
There'd be the teacher would be there. Excuse me,
Hello.
but I understand you wish to practice your
myself off.
your teleportation magic,
Bye.
but please don't do it
Okay, guys,
in the
thank you.
school. Remember the school rules. I will call people to you. You teleported into the College of Dimensional Studies.
That's hilarious.
That's so good. Wait,
I just
that's
want to
perfect.
take a seat and
Did
just be
you
like,
roll for that?
I did. I rolled for randomly because you just had information on the town, the district, and then I had a bunch of locations that were the most important locations of the district, and that was a 1 on the inner city, which you're in.
That's actually so great that because this is the one place that this isn't suspicious.
It really wasn't.
Oh yeah, that's just like fine.
Sorry, Professor.
You're also
You still
expected
do
to
have this teleport
technically
zone.
teleport between rooms. I mean,
I put
there's
the
the it lacks doors, so you actually have to teleport out because you're not really students of its class. It's like you have to. I understand if you're off kilter, but you aren't students of this class.
Yeah, sorry. He's new to this whole teleporting thing. He wanted to show off. How do we get out of here?
You probably have to teleport again. Either try to teleport another place in town, or just generally point in a direction and teleport
Is
that.
there like a window? Look out.
Probably windows. They don't have doors.
Yeah,
Probably
I like-
windows. Probably
no, no.
windows that aren't made to travel through, though.
Well, no. Jacob looks at the window and we teleport to the ground that he can see from the window.
Okay. Certainly, I think there'll probably be windows you can escape from. It would be funny if they're just like also like weird dimensional
Or
stuff.
we just open the windows and we just all crawl out and climb them like a building.
Regardless, you can get out of the college and find yourself in the city of Capitish. It is a massive metropolis, much like Port Peril, a very large city, and there are all kinds of folks going about. If you are looking for travels, of course, you would have to head to the docks in order to get travels out of the city, which is very easy to do. To arrange down to Quantium. Next.
Yep,
Yeah.
watch it. Yep, we leave. Unless anyone wants to buy something, I guess. But
Nah.
that doesn't really
This is
matter.
the town to buy stuff, I will tell you. This is one of the most major trade cities in all of
yeah, but we haven't gotten the money yet, so.
it. Mm-hmm.
Well, no. In the chat, I just posted what we got.
Oh,
I didn't feel like
I
counting the
didn't see
plunder
it.
because that takes me and Tanta some work.
Yeah,
That takes days
forgot
to
to do
do.
it.
I did not
The
see it.
universe.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I assume the plunder will get sold when we get back into Shackles. We can have whatever
Yeah.
plunder sold.
Mm-hmm. So,
Which I assume is going to be 130%.
heading to the docks, the most notable thing here is basically they have a version of something like the Colossus of Rhodes. They have the dockside giant, a massive copper statue depicting a bearded man with horns and a large trident staring menacingly out at the sea. It is massive in the dock area and stands out heavily. Beyond that, of course, there are plenty of places to check out and stuff. And arranging boat travels would not necessarily be too difficult. And certainly...
I ended up buying an item, but it's an amulet of natural one.
okay.
So nothing that's crazy.
Just in case, the other things that you will notice here, there's a fish menagerie from fish from all over the world, a salvage company, a bathhouse, and a place that does some really damn good ales down here at the docks. But anyway, certainly there is bustling sea trade just as much as the city is filled with travel. And I don't think any of you really need a roll to ask around. Honestly, you could easily find that there is a ship leaving to Quantium. I'll tell you, it's probably, honestly, at this point in time, since you probably teleported during the day, probably leaving tomorrow, we can say. So, you can easily either find a place to stay or do something for the day. If there's anything that you would take a day for shopping, you could do that. If not, we can skip ahead. I don't know if any of you... You do have some money now, so the option of like talking about spending stuff.
I'm not going to spend money.
Okay.
I spent 18,000 gold on a +3 amulet of natural armor.
Look, I'm going to tell you.
So I have natural armor.
There was a lot of really great places in the inner city that would have been much more funny for you to teleport into, like the Palace, the Grand Coliseum, a giant Sphinx, the Glass Pyramids, or the Nexian Embassy, because that would have gone really well.
You know, we're just that good at teleporting.
But you won yours was the most entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. Inner city. Anyway, so you can find an inn to stay at. Certainly, there are plenty of inns and taverns around town, and some enjoyable food and stuff. There really isn't a lot of places. There's a couple of like seaside watering holes in the docks area, but there really isn't a place to stay in the docks necessarily. You have to kind of go into town and a lot of the areas that have some of the trade districts and stuff like that. But again, not difficult for you to find a fairly decent place to stay, unless you want something a little bit more cheap. Up to you.
Nah, we buy a nice inn room or whatever.
Okay.
I have a lot of money.
Myste enjoys the fineries before setting off to sea once more.
So, this is something I forgot to talk about before going in is, one thing about the mana waste is it is technically kind of a magic dead zone.
Yeah.
So, did you bring all your magic items with you?
I likely did.
Would we be suggested to not do that?
They theoretically won't malfunction like a spell would, but they will most likely have no use whatsoever.
Then probably still have them. But just,
Still have them.
It's my sword's my sword. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna
Just
like.
if
grab
something
a
happens,
sword.
keep in mind for anything you're doing, none of your magic items will be functioning in the
Makes
mana waste.
Yeah.
Luckily, I
Sounds
sound my
good.
magic items as spells, so yeah, we're good.
Yeah. And I think supernatural abilities are generally not affected by it because it's not like it's a full. It's not like magic doesn't technically work. It just works weird.
Yeah, it has malfunction chance.
Yeah. So a lot of magic items just tend to be suppressed there just because of the weirdness of it all. If not, I could just have them explode, which would be funny, but no, I'm going to be nice.
Be a lot of money wasted.
Yes.
Like most of our character power gone.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to have them explode. I'm a kind, benevolent monstrosity that leads you. Anyway, the journey from Capanesh to Quantium is not a difficult one. It's down the coast. It's like, honestly, I think maybe like a day or two travel on the water. So not difficult. So the most noticeable thing is that you will basically be able to see from afar. Because how big are these things? Fairly big. There's two massive, gigantic golems that seem to be trolling the borders of the area, a red and a green one.
Yeah. Fuck that. Don't fight golems, guys. They're scary. It's
Pretty
not
cool.
fun.
Yeah, Quantium golems. I have no idea what those stats are, but I'm sure they're horrific. This tells me they're CR20s.
Yes.
Anyway, so the good thing about Quantium is as much as there's a lot of kind of, I would call it, not xenophobia, but a lot of distrust and mistrust and stuff like that in amongst the ruling parties of Nex. Nex's ruling parties are filled with people paranoid of each other, looking out for each other, looking at enemies on all fronts. The city itself, though, is a very diverse place. And it itself is a place that is a major trade port, a major metropolis in and of itself. There's open gardens, open-air mazes, there's arcane magic universities and lore there. It's got, it's like, if you've ever been, if, like, there's places like, haven't you been to Taldor? Oh, I think Jacob's from Taldor, isn't he?
Jacub is from Taldor, yeah.
But he might know Opera. It's comparable, like, with Opera, in Taldor, like the capital of Taldor. It's a very beautiful city, and very inviting from the general people. The people that rule it probably are really paranoid, and, you know, they're always looking out for, like, is something going wrong or something like that, but they battle amongst each other a lot more than anything, and outside the city, maybe a little worse. Anyway, there are also a lot of statues of a wizard, which most of you can identify as the Archmage Nex. So, arriving there, the thing is, you are in the city. If you wish for any kind of magic items, spell components, arcane services, even more so than Kapetesh. Kapetesh is a trade city. This place makes, like, a massive amount of magical components and magic items. So, yes. Anyway. Sorry, just checking something. Is your plan just to arrange for travel upriver, then?
Yeah, that's what Misty's gonna just kind of work on doing that.
Because you start your side river, it would be the way to go. Where's my next thing? I got rid of it. I did. Okay.
Sorry, I'm back.
No, it's all good. So you're going to want to arrange travel to Arcanist, which is a fortress town in the south near the Mana Wastes. Certainly it's not impossible to do that, but there isn't a lot of travel that heads down that way. It's also, that place is a home of the... Arcanist's location of the Flesh Fours, a building-sized artifact created by Nex.
Yeah.
In the war against Geb. Yeah, it's still there. I don't know if it's being used more, but it's down there. But that's... It's a fortress town on the edge of the Mana Wastes. No one really goes to the Mana Wastes.
Mana Wastes are pretty bad.
Yeah, so it's sort of like... It's... You're arranging to get transportation to Arcanist as possible. Beyond that, you're probably on your own. Or you have to pay someone a lot of money.
Well, we have a lot of money.
You do. It'll probably take you a little bit of time to arrange travel up the Ustradati River. If you wish to, we can say that, or it might be easier, there probably would be transportation more or less to Arcanist instead. Like, you might be able to find a, English, please work in my brain, a caravan that would take you to Arcanist.
Yeah, you know, we can easily, you know, find a group of caravanners that need guards, too.
That would be helpful, because the lands of Nex outside a lot of the cities are basically barren wastelands thanks to the war with Geb. Now, there's tribesmen, outlaws, and descendants of magical beasts and leasts during the war. Actually, a lot of them were created by Nex. That Flesh Forge created a lot of weird magical beasts.
Yeah.
And hey, axe beaks are an actual, like, animal that live in this area. They survived the barren wastes very well.
I'm impressed.
probably that would be probably tamed axe beaks would probably be what the caravan would use, because they're the things that can live in this wasteland. Anyway. Sure. We can arrange for you to be kind of guards for caravan heading down to Arcanist. That's easy enough. The city does get some caravans down that way to trade some stuff in material, especially from the capital, enough times that you're able to arrange one pretty rapidly. And again, this is a lot easier than taking the river, because the river probably, it's just as easy to go the land route as it is to go up there. Anyway. Arriving in Arcanist, you will be separated from the very nice caravan that you were with. They're very nice people, you know, honestly, just traders living out their lives in the wastelands of the Nex. And the place is barren. Like, it's not like desert barren, it's like, because it's hot, but it's like also like just everything seems like burnt and dead, and the land's scorched and, you know, cracked. And just everything seems unpleasant. But arriving at the basically fortress city of Arcanist, it is an impressive location. When I say it's a fortress city, like as much as you've been to cities with fortresses in them, this is a city that you could tell was made for war. An entire magical country's war was situated out of this city. This was the location that once housed the hierarchy of what led the war against Geb to the south. And anyway, if you're going to encounter any nightmarish creatures, it's the fault of the Flesh Forges. You know, a lot of the horrible monsters that live in the wastelands and the mana wastes, and the Wongi Expanse, the Barrier Mountain, they all came from here. Thanks, Nex. So, there is a trade route that winds south the Mana Waste, ending at the Grey Dirge in Geb. And so it does travel through the Mana Wastes towards Alkenstar, going through it. It's a very dangerous one, and not often is it traversed. Basically, I'm going to say probably right now it will be a little while before the next caravan plans to move out of here heading south. Effectively, you know, they're making trades deals, building up materials from the north, bringing it in to Arcanist, like the caravan you came in is probably bringing in stuff that they're arranging to put together, some of it, but they're constantly building up material ready for a much more deadly trek to the south. You're out of luck for joining that one. The good news about that is there are people that know their way through the Mana Wastes if you want to try to find someone. This is the final point in time, I would say, if you want to find a guide, you would need to make a gather information check. This is one that, you know, even with your high bonuses, you might not be able to find someone that'd be willing to take you on their own.
35.
But 35 is a pretty good roll, and
I can assist you.
Certainly.
I'm ready for that +2. Give me that 37.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
37.
Asking around, you will learn of a man who might be willing to take you. He's just known as Knob. Gnob. He's a wanderer that has been known to travel into the Mana Wastes to gather plenty of times, rumored to gather, like ancient magical items and things like that that were left behind in the war. You know, scavenging old battlegrounds and stuff. And made a lot of money with that. He tends to hang out in a kind of dirty, kind of dingy bar in Arcanist, in kind of the central part of the city. And hasn't been heard to go out that way very often lately. But asking around, he's probably most knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Well, sounds like a good person to pay for a job.
Mm-hmm.
To help us get to Alkenstar. I presume the path to Alkenstar is at least moderately traveled. They gotta get their guns out somehow.
Yes. But a lot of times they're in like armored caravans and stuff like that that are heavily defended and stuff like that. Because there are a lot of powerful and terrible things.
Gotcha. Well.
Oh, and be careful though. There is also a place in town that is pretty awful because it's known as the Awful, and it's there's an entire section in the town that is slowly consuming an entire district of the city, left over from the Flesh Forge, since 4708.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, created a massive flesh known as the Awful, and an event known as the Evisceration, that it's just devouring people and buildings this path, and the city soldiers spend days, every day, dealing with some of the stuff, kind of cutting it back and trying to keep it from growing. That's here too! Sorry, I missed that. It's probably noticeable.
Cool. Myste doesn't pay attention, just tries to find a guide and leave.
This is a good reason to leave.
I find our guide, and I think we just...
Alright.
I asked the guide, what do we need to get out safely?
So, kind of looking around, you will head into this dirty, dingy kind of bar, kind of tavern, that's sort of on the, honestly, a little bit too close for comfort to the edge of the Awful. But, you know, that's why it's probably low money, low cost, because, you know, they're not moving out of the way of the horrible flesh thing that's, you know, maybe just a couple houses away. And, of course, asking around, you will find Knob. Knob is a kind of shorter individual, a kobold.
Kobold. Interesting.
What do you want from me? What do you want from me, Smoothies?
Was he a fucking ghoul from Fallout?
Yeah.
I like you! I'll talk to you! Ooh! My good scaled friend. I see so few of you around all these smoothie skin people that have no scales. They are so weak without scales. I feel sad for them.
Yeah, we're buddies. That's what we are.
Those that have skin-like scales, then?
Did he just call us weak? Fucking kobold.
Yeah, that we that have scales, we're in it together, buddy.
Well,
Knob?
Yes.
What's your name, correct?
I am
I heard
Knob.
a lot about you.
Of course you have.
We need to get to Alkenstar.
Really? Do you? Good luck.
Yeah, and I want to pay you to guide us there.
Ah! Well.
That's what you're known for. You're making him sound like Jar Jar Binks, so I just want to kill him. Alright.
No, I am Knob. I do not know of this Jar Jar you speak of. I am a kobold and a mighty warrior. The power of the dragons had through me.
Yeah, you seem pretty mighty.
I am a descendant of Ghost Maul, great lord of this city.
He's got good lineage, I mean.
Great. I
don't
mean-
local or history to know what he's talking about.
I
I'll
care
vote for
not
Jake.
for what this creature says.
Okay.
Jacub does care, though. Jacob's the type of nerd to be... Oh, I've heard of this dragon.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's, honestly, it's maybe related to, some stuff that Yaalkol might be kind of related to.
Is this one of the dragons that we met?
No, it's an umbral dragon that the Church of Pharasma basically coaxed to live here and basically hunt the undead of, southern next to the Mana Waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacob's like,
So,
that's a dragon that works at Pharasma.
yes! The Great Ghost Maul eliminates the walking dead of the Mana Wastes, and her blessings within my blood. Descendants of the great dragons that we kobolds are. I can see you are even greater descendant. You are much larger descendant of the great dragons.
Yeah, that's totally what I am.
Well,
Well, I guess I did. I am actually that. I met my grandma recently. There was some complex stuff that came up there. You got a dad?
yes and no. My tribe is long since dead. Not all the individuals from it, but a great catastrophe happened. We had been travelers from Mwangi and came into this area. We had journeyed and traveled very far. One of the beasts here broke us down. As when we bonded, those of us that remained with Ghostmaw became of its blood. Since then, I have done my job in the city.
Okay,
I hunt and learn where the beasts that the great dragon hunts. But you wish to travel to Alkenstar, yes?
Knob.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. And given the story you're telling, I think you're the person who should do it.
Are you ready for the dangers?
Yeah. Danger's not really something we're foreign to.
Certainly you seem tough and strong, covering yourselves in many shiny things filled with great magic. But as you can see, I carry none of such things. Such things will not serve you well.
Yeah. Were we kind of warned about the anti-magic effect? One of you guys warned us about that, right? Because we had like a... So I'd say we've been pre-warned about the that our magics won't serve us while we're in there, but I sort of knock on the metal of my armor. I say, metal holds strong.
And beyond that, we are all capable warriors except him. I point to Jacub. He's a wizard.
Good, Jacub is just sort of like it's just like I thought about doing a karate class, but I just never stuck. Like I couldn't find the martial art I liked.
I have this crossbow I can shoot. It's not great, but hey, I know how to shoot it.
Blast him.
Misty pulls out one of her multiple clockwork and firearms she works on. I think I'm fine.
Pulls out a glat.
I mean, like a rapier is a rapier. You know what I mean? I poke something with it really hard and they die.
There are plenty of things which would not be harmed by such weapons. Sometimes cunning and the ability to know when to fight are important when it comes to the mana wastes.
I'll leave that stuff to them, and I just sort of follow their lead.
Yeah, you know, there's the something's the better part of valor or whatever. Caution. I don't know. I don't remember proverbs. I steer ships.
Well, ships, you say?
Yeah, I'm
like on the sand?
one of the-
on the river?
I could steer any ship ever. I'm one of the greatest ship womans of all time, probably. I don't know the word
Helmmaster
verbiage.
would be the proper term. Master of the helm.
But yeah, I mean, beyond that, I mean, like I understand how a ship works better than basically anyone. So I mean, if you want to float a ship down up the river, we could do that. I'm pretty good at it. If that's a safe way.
You mean to drift this thing?
Bro,
You've
seen Dagon Straws.
You wish to face the currents of the river and head south along the Ammonia River through its cursed waters.
Hey, we're trying to hire you, guy, to tell us what's the best way to go through this all. So if that's not a good way, we can go over land. If that's just as dangerous, then I'm down going that way.
The easiest way to Alkenstar would follow the river. Unfortunately, you would need some supply of waters and such. Would you have enough for your scaleless, Miss? I understand that your beings require more water.
If we could buy a barrel, yes.
I was gonna say, doesn't someone create water?
Barrels of water.
Again, might not create water.
Oh yeah.
Well, you could create it before going.
Well,
Yes.
we have a decanter of endless water, so we just buy a couple barrels, fill it up with water, and then it's just normal water at that point.
Yeah.
Like, that's why.
How
we
would you
never
carry
worry
such
about water
things? If we were to traverse, we would travel by foot. We are not a caravan. Caravans attract danger, but they use guns, firearms like yours, or sheer strength of numbers, and clockwork beasts to defend themselves from such things. To safely travel would be to go on foot. We are small and we are not transporting materials. We are not attracting massive, horrible beasts. Unless you wish to, which then I will not accompany you and you can get eaten.
How many days of travel is it to Alkenstar?
Let me check how distance it is along the river.
And there's a chance spells work, correct? It's just the
I will roll and we'll see what happens.
Chance something really bad happens.
So there's a 33% chance it works normally, a 33% nothing happens, and a 33% something funny and terrible happens.
Yeah.
Funny for me, terrible for you.
You mutate and
Got
become
you.
an abomination.
Yeah.
So it is to be avoided, as Gail would
Yes.
say.
Yes. The journey is not a difficult one. Maybe take, honestly, if things go safely along the river, 3 or 4 days of travel.
Well, if we stay along the river, we don't have to worry about water.
I would not drink the water.
No.
Well, you can
Bro,
boil
he
it.
said the river was cursed.
It has magical energies in it. That is why if you go out and see the river, it is purple sometimes and pink other times, and also sometimes glows. And also, there's that fish with 4 heads. They're delicious, but I would only fish for them, not drink them. And they have to be cooked correctly.
I wouldn't drink a fish.
I mean, you could if you really wanted to.
Powerfully.
It's really hard.
I can cast a spell to ask Besmara what is our best way of traveling these wastelands. She could provide some insight to helping us figure this out, what our best route is.
Bah, if you need advice, you can go ask, we should go and ask, Ghostmaw for advice.
Well, you could do both. It costs me literally nothing.
Ghostmaw is my patron. My blood. And also has
That's
the
good.
ear of, the goddess of death herself.
Yeah, that sounds kind of metal. Yeah, well, we can go talk to him, I guess.
Fine. This will help me determine whether you are worthy to take with me, to even go that way. I have not decided to accompany you. Your bribe of money is not what I need.
What do you need?
Nothing.
Oh. Are you sure you need nothing?
I live my life the way I wish to. I serve the great dragon. I serve death itself. I do a grand job, and occasionally I find small shiny trinkets which I can sell in town here to support my life. And those of my kin that still remain alive, I support, though many have scattered to other places. With our tribe gone, those of my blood, my fellow hatchlings, the generation from before me, what is left of them is mostly scattered. Those of our ancestors that live. It's the way of this harsh world. Now come. So, he will lead you in town to kind of the outskirts of it, a little bit outside of it, where there is like a kind of hill with what looks to have been an old mine kind of built into it. The entrance to the old mine is kind of massive. It probably would have been like a war effort for a lot of material, for like stones and metals and stuff that helped build the battlement at the time of Arcanist. Even probably before Arcanist became a war town, when it was a much smaller settlement in the area. Maybe it was even a mining village. But regardless, you'll be led inside, where a massive black dragon, like dark in color, that seems almost to be made of shadows, will be kind of just kind of sitting around and kind of like look towards you and kind of like. Does anybody speak Draconic?
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
one of us speaks Draconic probably better than they speak Common.
All right. Sorry, I just gotta check something here because I have.
Well, you said Draconic, not Beaver, right?
Yeah, this is Draconic.
There we go. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if it's Beaver, I understand that. Yeah.
Little one, what do you bring here? It's kind of like serpentine crimson eyes, kind of a sleek, dark dragon. It's huge size, too, I will note.
I'm sorry, what color?
Knowledge Arcana. It's not like a black
Green?
dragon, but it's like dark. Anybody Knowledge Arcana on this thing?
Wait,
I would.
He said it was an umbral dragon.
I did, but that would be knowing what an umbral dragon is.
Yeah, Jacob probably knows. I ought to game that.
Hey, don't know.
So Jacob will be able to have informed you that umbral dragons are pretty dang horrible creatures.
Yeah,
Granted,
the shadow dragons.
yeah, they prefer the taste of undead flesh or ghostly ectoplasm, which they feed upon.
That's not the worst.
But they won't turn down opportunities to consume living flesh.
That's most people, though. Wait, what?
But it's probably not joining Pharasma out of the charity of its own heart. Probably Pharasma made a deal with it, and it likes eating undead in the area. And they're powerful undead, most likely. They're undead from the Mana Wastes. And a lot of the dragon's natural abilities means it can still do stuff. Even in the Mana Wastes. Advantage, it. So
Okay.
it'll kind of like almost like a hissing growl. This is like the way that it's speaking Draconic is very alien to even you, Yaalkol. I'm gonna tell you, it's a primal dragon. So they are very ancient breeds and very powerful types of dragons. But yeah, basically like a shadow dragon almost. Why have you brought forth these individuals? A sacrifice? A meal? Or are they more worthless little monstrosities from that town, barking about something or other or another, that they have some form of problem they need solved? I am too busy with my works, or have you forgotten that I tasked you with finding me my next meal? Oh, great protector, Ghost Maul, blood of my blood. I brought forth these individuals for they had sought to traverse across the Mana Wastes, and honestly, they seemed kind of trying to be convincing, but they wanted to like know about it or something. I don't know. Look, sorry about this, but you're the only knowledgeable person more than me that like maybe you can convince them to like, you know, do something or go. I don't know. It's going to then now start speaking in common.
Yeah,
be
okay,
like,
I was gonna ask.
yeah. Small beasts, you have entered my domain. You have disturbed my small servant. Please tell me why I should not just devour all of you.
We wish to cross the Mana Waste to Alkenstar. Your friend or your minion here, Nob, has suggested to speak to you on the best way we might achieve that goal. If you had anything you required in Alkenstar, we could get it for you. Or any manner of other things.
I need
know
nothing
dragons love
from
wealth.
your place. I have a duty
Great.
here. Are you aware of it? A holy
Yes.
duty, as you would say it.
Mm-hmm. Our friend here is also tasked with a holy duty from Pharasma. With a deep connection to her.
Are you a priest of the Lady of Graves? You seem to be different from the rest of those. Different from this tiny one. What are you?
A priest? Nah, more like a holy warrior, pseudo kind of champion guy, but there's no real official relationship. You just sort of work in the same circles. Her and my dad and her and my granddad had this sort of business relationship for a while, so now we sort of have this thing. I don't know. I don't put a label on it.
He's gonna kind of turn his head, looking very carefully at Yaalkol. You're not a Rooksy. What are you?
I'm Yaalkol.
That's
Captain
the answer.
Yaalkol.
Well, out of respect for the Lady of Graves and the great homage she pays to me, and the deal we've struck, I will, of course, not devour her champion.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was a real bummer for our relationship if you try to devour me, so, you know.
And you would come back to life, and then you have to kill him again.
Yeah,
Like
that's
an
it.
asshole.
Yeah. There's a whole thing. We don't have time about it. But that being said, given that you've decided not to devour us, are you able to sort of, point us in the right direction if we want to get across the Mana Waste?
He's going to start speaking in Draconic again, and he turns towards Little One. You did not mention that one of them serves the Lady of Graves. I didn't know! They don't tell me anything. They're just random people that came up and were like, want some money? I didn't need any money. Well, you do seem in need of some assistance to travel, yes? You worry about the dangers, and of course, a great being such as myself that knows of the wastes and knows how to hunt and destroy the dangers there would be a grand thing to ask advice for. So I understand why you came to my small servant. You sought the greatest power that there is in this place to help you out. Out of respect to my patron, as it is your patron, perhaps I could offer you a deal with me instead. Nob here, Little One, is very useful, perhaps the best at his job. He's like, as he's hearing this, you can see Nob perking up, oh, I've never been complimented before. you know? But my deal with Pharasma is more than a favor. I am paid homage through gifts and payment. I am a dragon. Treasure is something we all seek. And of course, it's very difficult to gather it when you are protecting a town in a region and hunting in an area where things are very difficult to find. Yes. And as of late, I have felt perhaps it's better for a little bit more honor. So perhaps, if you would honor me, I would allow my assistant here to guide you where you need to go successfully. And I will share with him the knowledge of my, well, safest routes for your travel. Some he might not know.
Okay, so you feel it would be respectful if we paid you homage before we passed along with your servant. Is that, do I understand that correctly? That's what you'd like?
Yes. And the sheer fact is, as a servant of Pharasma yourself, perhaps making up for what some of her other priests have lacked to do, to appropriately compensate me for some of my efforts.
Do you happen to have a figure in mind?
I'm reasonable, and I assume perhaps you're not traveling with too much money. You're just, what, travelers trying to get through a dangerous location, and not very patient waiting for the caravans, I'm guessing. And you're smart enough to ask for guidance rather than just to go on your own. I will only ask for, how about 3,000?
I sit and I'll just like look at the dragon for like a long 30 seconds. I'll say 3,000 seems fair homage. I will collect the 3,000 myself. I'll pay it out of pocket.
Okay.
And I'll say, after collecting it, I will go and, actually, there's, like, quite reverently, I'll just, like, pile it up, in these, like, small piles in front of him. And then I'll step back and say, a gift for you. Worthy of a, creature of your, stature? I sort of look questioningly at Revia. Yeah. Stature.
You are quite reverent ones. And though I have much that I must do, Nob here will accompany you. And at least for the first day, I shall watch over you. I feel the need to stretch my wings. And I do hunger, and seeing such delicious things has gotten my mouth watering.
Well, then, we're grateful for that. Thank you, and we will prepare to leave as soon as you are ready to go. And
I will know when you leave. Go ahead and depart once you are ready. I assume Nob is always ready.
excellent. Thank you.
I didn't know he knew my name.
It's all in Draconic, right?
That part is in common. You know, he's like, I didn't know he knew my name. I'm important.
Congratulations.
I'll turn to the party and say, alright, got a deal. We got Nub.
Alright. So, what do you want to do to prepare to cross the Mana Wastes? Because now you have a guide, you have a direction, and it will take a few days, and at least your first day, you don't have to worry about anything there.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So... Let's see if there's anything I can do.
I guess we like what, and we shouldn't get a cart. Is that the
warning
TLDR?
about getting a cart was that would attract the attention of larger creatures.
Yeah, but we can't carry enough water without bags of holding. Those don't work.
So you have to plan something.
So, I mean, a cart seems like the only.
Well, again, you're not going for like a week. You're only going for...
Yeah, but 4 or 5 days of water is a lot of pounds of water for 5
Mhm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 pounds per person per day.
Mm-hmm.
It's how long's the travel again? I'm sorry.
4 to 5 days.
4 or 5 days. So let's assume 5 days. So that's
I'll tell you,
20 pounds per person.
if you would
that's,
ask, perhaps getting a pack animal might be suggestible. 1 pack animal might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay.
how
we can get.
how
we can get-
hospitable is it to just pack animals?
You're probably going to get an
native.
axe beak because it does what live in this
Gotcha.
area.
Gotcha.
Get an axe beak. Yeah, we could. We just. It's 100 pounds of water
Mm-hmm.
for 5 days.
I'm down with that. How much is the axe beak?
I can actually look up the
There-
price. I actually have that.
So
I think
what
it's
you
like
guys
40
want
gold
to?
per pack.
What you guys want to bump with the axe beak? Since I bribed the dragon.
Animals and gear.
Yeah, I can buy it.
An axe beak is... If you want it combat trained, it's the same price as non-combat trained. I guess they train them that way anyway because they are a fearsome creature. It's 1,500 for an axe beak.
Oh, jeez, I can't afford that much. I don't have that much money left.
Much?
You said 1,500.
1,500. Yeah.
I can with what we just got.
Yeah, well, I spent all my money on an amulet for natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll spring for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I had to switch out my
It
no
would
longer have
be
the iron
the... There are probably other creatures you could get, but it would be the better to survive because honestly, it has the advantage of being a carnivore, and there aren't a lot of like plants to eat around here, or plants that I would recommend eating.
It's native to the area, right?
Yeah, it is native to the area. It could probably at least digest most weird magical things and know whether it's edible or not.
And it's combat trained because
Mm-hmm.
Axe Beak always combat trained.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for it. We have one.
Cool.
Cool. Well, we buy, I guess, a couple barrels, whatever, fill them up with water.
Alright. So,
And we loaded the Axe Beak up with food too, as well, I guess. And then everything else is fine.
So, 2 of you are really not going to be affected at all by traveling into the Mana Waste, and that is Chester and Yaalkol. Because neither of you
I mean,
really...
other than my magical weapons
I mean, yeah,
and armor.
your magical things will kind of lose their stuff, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, the 2 of you don't use magic. You have magic items and stuff, and certainly they will lose their abilities. And in random places, they might work, but again, it's kind of random. Because, yes, you have areas that are... Most of the areas in the Mana Waste are of the primal magic, of this wild magic that I kind of talked about. Though there are some dead zones where magic is completely devoid, and there are also some places where magic works normally. There are some of them, not many, and it's kind of random, and it also shifts around because mana wastes. So other things that are in the area: carnivorous plants, SandStorms made of shattered glass, poisonous fogs that actually roam around trying to kill things. So maybe they're sentient, maybe they're not. This place...
So they just modeled this place after Australia?
Yeah, sure.
It's magical Australia.
Nah, it's like mutant magic Australia. It's kind of worse.
It's just Mad Max.
Mm-hmm. There are also things like sand krakens, elementals, strange constructs left over from the wars, rifle-carrying mutants, and other creatures, and various types of giants which control the area. But and all the undead. But fortunately, you do have a guide which can take you through it. And I've got to be honest, you might run into some trouble, but most of the trouble that I generally would probably throw against you at, with the way that you were suggested to travel, it's probably not going to be difficult. Something like a sand kraken would probably be difficult. It is still a kraken that lives in the sand, but something like rifle-carrying mutants, they could be dealt with, or like, a group of ogres or something like that could be dealt with. Or even maybe like with the help of Yaalkol, like a leftover weird construct thing that just appears out of nowhere, could probably be dealt with relatively safely. Again,
Oh no, my perception's only a 20 because my contacts aren't working.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah. It will be days of journeying through an area that is just... You feel like you're in another world completely. Like, it's different than, like, I go from, like, the tropical area of the Shackles and I visit a desert, and then I visit, like, a temperate region that's, like, the Mediterranean. No, this is like, oh, we gotta get some shelter. There's a sandstorm made of glass going on. Or, like, oh, look out. There's the deadly, like, poisonous death fog that just kind of wanders around targeting living beings. Or here's rain that's like fire. Not acid,
Yeah.
fire rain.
To be avoided.
Yeah.
I said burn to the rain.
It's very unpleasant here, and you deal with it for a number of days until you get towards the
Honestly,
massive...
it's kind of sick. Like a trip. Like, living here would suck, but being here for like a week, I mean, that's kind of sick, You get a lot of stories to tell.
Anyway. Soon, though, you will be approaching Alkenstar. And why don't we take our break here, and then I can introduce Alkenstar to you as you arrive in the city, having faced the various dangers that need to be, because this is probably an actually very dangerous journey that I kind of have skipped over a lot of. But when you snack, drink, or bath and break, go ahead and take them, and we'll be back in a little bit. Back. Alright, welcome back,
future?
everybody. No, that's later on. So, there's good news and bad news about arriving at Alkenstar. Certainly, the good news is you can see the city. The bad news is you are at the small town at the base of the, basically the Alken Falls. Because the Ustradai River plunges over the Hellfallen Cliffs 700 feet down.
Oh.
There is a gigantic cliff in which the top of it lies Alkenstar.
Is there like a pathway?
Generally
Carved in stone?
speaking,
Of a walkway.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest about this here. Information is bad on this part here, because I know there's supposed to be a town down here. I know nothing on the town because the town name they give is for a different town to the west of Alkenstar,
Yeah.
and this is to the north of Alkenstar.
Alkenstar didn't get lore until 2E.
Yeah. And so the lore it did have was a lot less in 1A. Not a lot, and not perfectly done. So, I'm going to guess, because there is supposed to be a town at the foot of the waterfall. Okay, so there are 2 landmark towers climbing the full height of the cliff to connect to the main city above. So there are a way up. So there's 2 700-foot towers on either side of the river going on up to this massive city that is billowing out smoke deep above you, you know.
Guys, do you think they carved the tower from the mountainside, or do you think they like built it? Which one do you think is easier?
Probably building.
My question
You
is,
sure?
is the town
Are they
called
dwarves?
Alkenstar?
The towers themselves aren't next to the wall. They're connected via sky bridge to the upper city.
When you get to the town, you can ask.
Oh, I'm not that interested. It's like a food for thought moment.
Talking to people.
You're the tourist.
No, thank you.
I talk to people. It's just, you know, like, I feel like I'll probably stop caring about it, like, as we're climbing the staircase up.
Misty will begin to descend.
Alright.
Well, are we even allowed to ascend? Do we have to, like, pass some sort of check or something?
Honestly, there is some probably, like, you are wanderers from the waste. So it's, like, kind of like people wander in and out of the wastes all the time-ish, you know? People leave. The fact is, Alkenstar is best known as basically the city that if someone comes here, they don't want to ever be found.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So there are laws and controls here-ish. So certainly, more than likely, in this smaller town at the base of it, there is insert local gang A, that's not the major government of Alkenstar, that controls this region. Because a lot of the factories, the manufacturing areas, and the areas that tend to be where a lot of the common rabble are controlled by various gangs, who aren't like street thug gangs, they're like mafia gangs.
Yeah, crime lords.
So there are lots of mafias and crime lords that control large portions of that. And then there's the big rich part of town, which controls everything, which as long as the crime lords basically do crimes amongst themselves and to the common folk, and basically pay some money and send stuff to the big rich people who control giant clockwork death machines and the construction of guns, they don't care what goes on in the rest of the city. So that's why it's kind of you got the Outlaws of Alkenstar as a thing, because most of the city is very crime run by, like, these people.
Yeah. You gotta find someone to make a trade negotiation.
You want to go to the nice part of town, not the common part of town, which is easier said than done, because
No,
you would almost be considered common rabble.
No, we just take the sewers and find the local
pirate
people.
nobility.
Well, Misty will
I have a wife, she's a noble.
attempt, if possible, to use the fact that she has very unique firearms and is a powdersmith to get in.
Alright, so you would need to go to... Sorry, I'm just gotta make sure I'm getting... Most likely, you would want to reach out to someone in the High Parliament. Because that's what represents the various factions of both the city and the very smaller settlements, like this one, that are under it. Again, like, basically the High Parliament, which is under the Grand Duchess, who's basically the actual, like, leader. But the Parliament basically runs the day-to-day, and they're often represented by, like, one of the ministers is probably from one of the important crime family here, or from this, you know, person that runs an important, like, you know, merchant group here, you know. This family basically has a lot of wealth. Anyway, so you would want to head to basically Alkenstar City. Climbing up the cliff is definitely it's a journey. These towers go up, honestly, 700 feet. It's climbing it's a 700-foot staircase. It's like a giant skyscraper, and you're taking the stairs.
Yeah, thighs are burning.
Yeah, you all of you have very burning thighs. Probably at some point in time, I'm going to admit, because I don't think he's got the stats for it, Jacob's probably being carried by Yaalkol.
Yeah.
Actually, he is a pretty good
Beautiful.
score.
I just feel like that would probably be something that would happen still too.
He's the same con score as me and strength.
Ah,
He's
surprising.
14 con. 14 con, 10 strength. Yeah, no jump stats.
I have an 18 con.
Well, not currently.
No, that's true. I have a 14 con.
Anyway, let's see here. So, you're going to go to Sky Side is where you want to go to. Not Smoke Side. So, you're going to want to then cross the river, though, because... you'd probably be coming in on the river on Smoke Side, I'm going to admit, because you probably wouldn't have been crossed the river at all, and traveling... from where the town is you were, and going along that side of the river, I thought you were always on the eastern side of the river. So that's kind of like heading up the tower you're going to be taking up would the tower that would take you into Smoke Side, into basically the area where nothing works. So the thing about Smoke Side is that I'm going to tell you right away, Smoke Side itself, the entire area is just dead magic. Mm-hmm. So, unlike a lot of the other areas where maybe some things could work and shenanigans could happen, Smoke Side is just no magic. Completely and utterly. That's where a lot of those gangs kind of come in. On the other half is Sky Side, where there's massive towers that penetrate the smog in the sky, and you have to cross the basically primal magic that covers the river at this area to that area where there's more primal magic and stuff like that, and mixed bags across the river. But if you want to find... coming up into the city, it is dingy, it is dirty, it is smoggy. There are very dangerous-looking people around every turn in Smoke Side, and certainly the sound of industry is going constantly, because clockwork factories and steamworks and like stuff based on steam power are going constantly. You know, steam engines are running here. That's the thing is, they don't have magic. They basically developed a lot of, technology here because they needed to. Not that some of this stuff couldn't exist in other parts of Galarian, it's just magic makes up an excuse for not using a lot of it in places. So, crossing the bridge is not going to be as easy as just doing it, honestly, unfortunately. The sheer fact is, even if you were coming up originally, you probably would have had to kind of pass through an area to get up to the Sky Side directly, because it's an area that you're random people coming in through the area. So, there aren't great authorities. You can either try to talk to someone on the bridge and try to negotiate your way in, or you could try to arrange through someone around here on Smoke Side. What do you want to do? The arrangement Smoke Side is basically find an important crime lord and convince them to allow you to help you to get across to talk to someone there. Something like that.
I have cash to bribe someone, but I don't think that just throwing money at everything is probably our best solution. Does anybody have a better idea, though?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we can make like a trade deal with any of these slumlords.
A lot of the slumlords work in like metallurgy and alchemy are two big things here, because that's something that still works a lot, is straight up alchemy, like just alchemical stuff.
Because it's pretty much
probably
like
make a
chemistry.
deal with the alchemist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We could probably make a deal with the alchemist. What do you think, Misty? You're an alchemist.
Misty is an alchemist. Either that, or you could try and. That might work, or trying to like sell Misty as a renowned gunsmith to get through, right?
Hell yeah, we can.
You could maybe run into there are engineering guilds on this
earlier.
side that you could definitely speak with. If you want to try to go by that side.
That might take longer though, because it's going to be like.
Prove it.
It shows the multiple firearms Misty has created throughout the entire adventure.
No, that's true.
All
It's
the
just like
guns.
They're all on her. Right?
I'm definitely going to say all of you kind of feel a little awful here because honestly, there's
pollution.
There's horrible amounts of pollution constantly.
It's
I'm
LA
assuming
a couple decades ago.
Yeah.
There's full pollution, and also like divine connection is just severed in magical dead zones.
Well, that's the thing is, Jacob's just felt like nothing exists, and the two of you have felt like probably an emptiness because you do.
Yeah.
Revia certainly is a lot stronger because you are more directly connected with the deity, but both of you use divine magic, and there is nothing that you can hear.
Like a familiar feeling to Misty to lose divine connection, and not a pleasant one.
Yeah.
So there's probably a profound look of disgust and sadness upon her face.
I'd probably describe it for the two divine casters as it's almost as if like you lost a sense, it's like you can no longer hear and everything is quiet, like in this almost preternatural quietness because you can't hear anymore, and it's disappeared, and you haven't really lost that sense, but it feels like it's gone, and there's just something missing, and it's just creepy.
I feel like I could call down powers, but it might go wrong terribly.
And, Jacob's just like, I can't do anything.
I have a crossbow.
Just a nerd again.
I have a gun. I can shoot.
Pew pew.
Let's go to the Alchemist Guild, I think. I feel like that's probably the easier route to be like, look how cool we are. Let us go talk to your leader.
Misty's a much better engineer than she's not.
You would not be able to find the Alchemist Guild on this side of the river.
Oh.
You could find an alchemy factory here.
Yeah.
The engineering guilds are the ones that have buildings on this side of the river because they're a lot closer to a lot of the metals and stuff that they require.
Yeah. Misty is a far more practiced engineer.
Yeah. And the engineering guilds oftentimes are connected with some of the metallurgic factories, and have patrons in amongst them from various groups because, hey, we can get the special order parts we need from them. The alchemists don't really need that as much.
Yeah. So we can talk. So you said we would need the support of a gang leader to get.
Yeah, like you could try to convince them to go straight across the bridge, but the problem is that, honestly speaking, finding someone that's not going to just be directly like dismissive and kind of hostile to you is hard. I mean, it'd be very hard to convince them.
I'm pretty good at a hostile check. Is not too difficult for me to pass though. We wanted to just be like, hey, we want to negotiate with your gunsmith. We are representatives from a foreign nation trying to make a deal, right? And we kind of look the part. We could put on our fancy clothes, right? And we can actually look the part of diplomats.
You could try something like that if you wanted to. That's an option.
I can also
Chester's aiding me. Yeah, exactly. Chester aiding me. All of my diplomacy points are natural, right? They're not from magic or anything.
Yeah, I automatically aid you because I have a 13.
Give me +2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's +24. So that beats most diplomacy checks unless they're very difficult.
Well, the thing is, it's different than convincing them that you might be someone, and you're showing up without any paperwork, without sending anything. Convincing them to let you in is going to be the difficult thing,
Yeah, I think I can do it. I mean, we could look official enough. Don't we have a symbol of being on the pirate council? I thought we have something.
No, that's not probably not a recognized nation to a lot of people.
Yes, it's not.
Cool, that's true.
We're pirates. Okay, you're criminals. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you call it? The Shackles
Psychopathic
makes
murderer.
deals externally, though. So
The Shackles does make deals externally. That is very true.
Wow, it seems as though our culture is being slandered here. We have a
So
unique
let's-
culture of people
let's just give it a go.
who
We
have a transient
let's just-
lifestyle.
let's just give it a go. If we can't get in, we can negotiate with some other loser to do it.
Yeah.
But let's just try.
All right.
Why not?
So,
Not like they're gonna do anything about it.
the bridge-
They're not gonna case out.
the bridge heading from Smokeside to Skyside is effectively kind of carried off by a set of gates. Now, you can see that there are some people that pass through, but they seem to have basically passes that they're showing off to allow themselves passage. It is guarded by a number of guards with rifles and massive, gargantuan, clockwork, steam-powered colossi, like on either side of the bridge, basically, of the gate to the bridge. So big old like clockwork golems almost, with like kind of like smoke bellowing out of them.
Okay.
You will approach one of the people like in that like is checking people at the station, you know, if you wish to.
Yep.
Pass, please.
Sorry, we have just arrived at the city out on a mission to negotiate trade deals.
Do you have a pass?
No, where might we acquire one?
Did you message ahead if you're... What did you say you were here for?
Trade negotiates. No, we came quickly through teleportation magics. It would have been quicker. this time.
Teleportation?
We teleported to another nation and then traveled here. It's easy. It's magic. Don't worry about it. Either way, can we speak to your captain or what, the leader of this area, and so I could talk to him to hash this out? Your captain.
He's gonna kind of like be like looking at you. Look, you're supposed to have a pass if you want to travel across it. If not, I'm afraid I really can't help you.
Can I speak to your commander?
Why don't you make your diplomacy check to see if you can get him to
I
convince
believe
someone?
you just can. I see your manager. This man.
Well,
You did-
yeah, this guy's not gonna help me with shit. He's just a dude doing his job.
You hit him with the that Karen shit, dog.
Yeah. Bro, what? This is like, dude, this guy's not gonna be like, yeah, I'll make a special pass for you. No, I gotta talk to someone with actual power, not this chump.
That's my fault.
Alright, look. If you're willing to stand around, I could send some messages for someone and see if they're willing to show up, but I gotta be honest, they're probably pretty busy. I don't know if they're gonna show up or not. I'm sorry, look, I really am. If you've traveled here from wherever the hell you didn't mention, I'm sorry, I don't know. Did you mention? Did I miss that?
No, we're from, let me think about this real quick before I say anything.
Wait,
Okay,
Hold
does
on,
the Shackles have deals of Alkenstar, right? This is a thing we have, because we have a shit ton of guns.
Technically speaking, you have deals with individuals, or you have deals
Yeah,
with other people, and then the people in the Shackles buy them.
Yeah,
They-
who are we doing this for? There's someone that we made a deal we'd get these guns, that they helped us.
The two Taldor twins.
The Taldor twin.
The Taldor twins
Yeah.
suggested it for themselves, but they also may have hinted that because the one that was talking to you was very practical and could see that maybe there might be a conflict in the future, basically said, get us some weapons, but also you might want to make some deals.
We're basically securing
Yeah.
weapons for a civil war.
Yeah.
We are leaders of several islands. The
Neat!
far west.
Great! Okay, nice to meet you, island leaders from the far west. Look, again, I can send a message, but they might be busy, they might show up. You're gonna have to just kind of stand around here. I got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people
Hold
that
on,
kind of come in and
before-
out.
I do have one more question. You're telling me that you have a city on the other side of a giant magical, like, weird rift, and then the first thing that you do is ask if they have an appointment if somebody shows up at your door? You guys are, I don't know, unhospitable. Pretty crazy, but whatever.
there's a way of doing things that you kind of have to listen with the way that people do stuff. When you enter a place,
sucks.
yeah. Look, I don't really know how you do things in your place.
You're good. Well, it's a lot more chaotic. I can tell you that. I get you. That's why I was like, because like you can't really help me, obviously, right? You're just a dude doing a job.
I'll send that message. Yeah, I'll send that message along. We'll see if they show up. Next, please. Just go stand by the Clockwork Guardian. Don't worry. You're fine. I won't. You know, it'll try to crush you if you try to do something to us or break in with that and we yell or something. So just don't try to run across.
Revia, I'm gonna pull you aside for a moment, away from prying ears. There is another option.
Yeah.
I could try to lift a passport from someone. Wait till someone comes from the other side, follow them, bump into them.
Problem one, we don't know anything about these passes. They might be, one person only, you know what I mean? So it's like, I get what you're saying.
Even if we could get one, it might be something. At least we know what we're looking for. What we're looking for. Maybe we can try to duplicate it.
No, I agree with this plan. Wait till tonight if we can't get it.
Yeah, I'm not saying this second, but I'm just saying we could keep an eye. I could follow someone and try to just bump into them.
Yeah, I'm down with it 100%. Just like let's try to do this
yeah, I'm just trying to give
or whatever.
I'm trying to give other options.
I appreciate you, Chester.
A couple of
100%.
hours will pass. But eventually, coming from across the bridge will be an entourage of musket-wielding soldiers. They're kind of dressed in like very unusual kind of garb, a little different than what you've seen from your average soldier, because they're not like wearing like heavy armor and stuff. They seem to be like musket wielders and stuff with very light armor on them. With a man that has that's not wearing a hat, but kind of has like a monocle on one side and looks to be kind of like there's definitely a little bit of pompousness to the guards here, like a little pomp and circumstance. Like this is where the money is going to, like, be like, hey, behave yourself if you're allowed to go across to the rich side of town.
Before we continue, party, do we want to say we're from the Shackles? I didn't want to say it earlier.
You probably shouldn't.
We didn't discuss it. Yeah, that's why I was avoiding it. So I have I have a plan. Yeah, because I can do it without lying. We own land from old Galtian nobility that they own. That was outside of Galt, right? I'm the wife of exiled Galt noble.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. What's all this now? I have received a message that there are some travelers who say they are representatives of some Pondox country from somewhere or something. If you are from an official large nation, you should have sent word ahead of time. Messengers or some such.
We are of an independent nation that is not governed strictly by some larger power. That is why we had no one to send ahead of time, and why we have come here personally to try to negotiate them.
Look, I'll keep things short. What is the point of your negotiations here? As much as I am a guard here,
guns.
Purchase guns. All right.
Purchasing guns.
You wish to purchase guns and gunpowder, munitions and stuff to arm your small nation. Yes.
Correct.
Wonderful. Do you have money?
Yes.
All right. Did you bring money with you? I don't mean to be rude, but the fact is, we get propositioned by plenty of people. In many larger nations, it's sometimes hard to get proper payments out of. Let alone smaller nations such as yourself.
We have an amount of money with us that could be sufficient as a down payment, but we have plenty of money also back at our home city or town. It depends on how much you require as a down payment, of course. It's kind of hard to get information of what the usual fees are.
I tried to Google how much on average for a revolution, but it kept coming. It kept asking my zip code, and I couldn't figure out the zip code for my island.
She's going to just kind of size this guy up.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to make a sense motive check to see what he's all about right now.
Okay. You go ahead and roll that sense motive.
40.
All right.
Jesus.
Certainly,
Christ.
this man here feels more appointed bureaucrat than soldier. The men and women around him in the small entourage that accompanied him actually look like properly trained soldiers. And certainly the person that's probably would be called more like a lieutenant or like his direct aide seems more the commander of the troops that are here, definitely. And they feel military. These are more than guards. This is the military of Alkenstar, certainly. And it controls this part of the city and protects it. They probably do a lot of other things outside that city, but they're here. And this man here is definitely just a bureaucrat, kind of put into place. Does he have any confidence in battle experience? You don't know. But just sizing him up, he doesn't feel very threatening. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's a crack shot with a gun, but other than that, he's a little overweight. He's a little kind of olding. He's definitely feels like a little bit out of shape, maybe from the way he kind of presents himself. He did cross a long bridge to get here, and he's really only armed with a pistol at his, or actually a revolver by his side. I'm sorry, it would be a revolver, and they would have rifles.
Yeah, I will just say, how much would you require for a down payment as a show of good faith that we were willing to buy these?
Honestly, I do not know for sure. You've come here and you've presented yourself quite peacefully. I can try to get in contact with someone in the High Parliament, someone that's a representative that can speak to you about this on a more proper scale. It might take a few days to contact them, to arrange something with them, though. Have you found a place that you're staying at?
We have just arrived today, so not yet.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to say to you I can't let you across until we've arranged for this, and I can send someone to find you if you let me know of a place that you're staying at. You can inform the gate guard where you're staying.
Do you know a location that's safe enough? And we could just stay there?
Smokeside is...
We're not too worried about dangers. We crossed the waste without an armed group of guards. We're our own guards.
Nob led the way!
Oh, I forgot you're here.
I didn't leave!
It's okay. Yeah, no, I'm used to most people being taller than me, so I don't look down at for people.
Pats the kobold on his kobold head.
he didn't leave. He just stuck with you. He probably doesn't know when to leave, honestly.
No, we need him to guide us back, so he stayed.
Yeah. That's reasonable. You didn't tell him he was done, so he just stayed around.
You still need him.
Yeah, well...
I've never been to the big city. It's neat here. Quaint.
Yeah, we'll tell the guard where we're staying.
Excellent. I can send someone to let you know when it would be appropriate then to meet here, and I can have an escort to you to somewhere. If things go well and negotiations require more days, we can perhaps look into handing over some papers or something at that point in time. But look, again, there's formal ways of doing anything, especially on an end that you are still, even if you are a small nation, you're still a nation dealing with us.
Yes, and I won't bother you trying to give you the spiel of the promises or whatever. I'll leave that spiel to the people I'm making the deal with.
I assume.
Wouldn't want to bore you.
party is also in like their nicer clothing for this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we said you're changing.
Absolutely is not and is still in kind of the more desert mana waste attire she purchased. So she does look very out of place, and we'll just ask if the guards know which is the more reputable engineering guild to contact.
They'll give you the name of like the Mithril Coil.
Okay.
Is a pretty good
sick
one.
name.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
The Mithril Coil is a engineering guild that has a connection with Dungenhold. They're originally built out of that, but they have a branch in Smokeside to deal with some of the material there. They traditionally deal less with some of the heavier things there, but they are probably the most reputable one that has a connection in Smokeside.
Okay.
Dungenhold being the Dwarven Sky Citadel, which is within which is basically real nearby to Alkenstar City, and is the reason that guns exist here. You know,
Seems like they're important.
I mean,
Pretty important.
basically, guns were invented because the dwarfs decided mostly to live here and basically put themselves underground, and all things went to shit. And you know, then when some people tried to move into this place, they said, "Oh, hey, you guys live here." And they're like, "Oh, neat. People are alive outside of our hole in the ground. Cool." And they talked for a while, and then they made a deal, and then Alkenstar was forged.
This is Doomsday Preppers.
They kind of actually were just dwarven doomsday preppers.
But they were right. So, like, to be fair, you know?
They
it's like-
spent. Look, when you spend a couple hundred years underground without magic, and you know,
Going to Haol.
they basically that's where guns came from. They had a lot of time and energy and nothing magical to deal with, and so they had to make do with developing a lot of the technology that's here.
Crazy. This is how my parents explained sex to me, too.
Yeah. So.
Jesus Christ.
It's just how it happens. It's just like that.
What is wrong with
Why are you like this? Why are you like this?
So you can certainly you could go to the Mithril Coil, the Engineering Guild, or you could try to find some place to stay if you want to find like a watering hole / inn. They do exist.
Do we want to... So, do you still... I assume you still want to talk to the engineering, right?
Yeah. We can find it in first, then Misty can just kind of like meet you back there, or you can kind of log or whatever. I don't know if
Did you want me to
anything
go
else
with
they
you?
want to do. Like, you can if you want to. I just don't know if anyone else in the has things they want to do here. Like
Fuck this
theft
place, dude.
or crime.
I hate this place. I hate this place so fucking much.
You're probably like,
They
I hate
had
this place.
bureaucracy at the gate. They had bureaucracy at the front door. I hate
Yeah,
this
welcome
place.
to
I want to
being
be
in a
out
real
of here.
country, Yaalkol.
Bro, this
Real
is worse
country,
than
my
Alex.
ass. We
At
walked
least
through a
can get
goddamn
places.
Maelstorm, and they're like, "I'm sorry, you need to have advanced reservations before you can enter the city."
No,
Yeah,
you entered
my
the city.
absolute-
You can't enter the nice part of the city.
Yeah. Get into the rich part.
Yeah,
You're
fuck
riff
you, I got
raff.
money. I got money. Have a New Vegas style. Like you just need to see that I have $10,000.
$10,000 to enter the city.
I got money.
But, I can go with you
You fucking questioning me.
to help you with any negotiations you want to do. We can find a place to stay, but I got nothing to do. I fucking hate this place. It's awful.
I mean, honestly, it's the nation technically is
Really
lawful
bad.
neutral.
Bro, this
It
is
originally-
literally like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's a lawful neutral nation.
Lawful and neutral.
Oh
Well,
no.
I'm neutral too, okay? But
Neutrals.
the lawful part, oh no.
Damn neutrals.
Well, technically, only
Can't
half
trust
the
them.
city is lawful neutral. The other half is
Yeah.
probably more just neutral. Because
Chaotic, probably.
no, it's not even
Tell
chaotic
us,
neutral.
Peter.
It's neutral because like the crime lords do allow little crimes to happen, but they mostly keep things in order.
Yeah.
And then
little crime. Little crime.
Little
You're
crime
good.
here and
Just
there.
a little crime as a treat.
Little crime if you're good.
It's mostly strange, like gang wars that are like in the shadows, with lots of random gunfire. So it's basically, it's
Chicago.
It's
Chicago in the 20s.
It's the Chicago in the 20s. It kind of is.
Chicago in the 20s.
Just fucking pulls up in this little caravan, jumps out with a gun, just brats up another dude, and then just
it would be like a steam-powered caravan that would be like chugga 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 chugga, with like the booming steam coming out, and then it's got it's a row of rifles across it that someone just like pulls a lever and they all fire or something.
Does the leader have a scar on their face?
Sure, why not?
Uh-oh, he's going to jail for tax evasion.
They call him Babyface Frank.
Anyway, sure. You can find a tavern that is relatively nice looking. I mean, it's a tavern inn called the Black Bile.
Right.
Okay, they need a public relations manager.
Well, they had one good name. This one went down.
This is the Black Bile.
Really
feels intentional.
They're known for their fairly strong ale, which is black in color.
I was gonna say maybe because we're on the smoggy side, it's what you cough up.
Honestly, that's probably also the truth too.
It's just London in the industrial era.
Oh no, not London.
It's London today.
I think that's instead of sending me to hell, they'll just send me to London.
Yeah, cool. It's time to sweep the chimneys.
How much porridge can Yaalkol get? If he asks for some more, they're gonna get mad at him, and he's so big.
No, they wouldn't let the Yaalkol sweep the chimneys. He's too
some
big.
more? You want some more?
Speaking of sweeping chimneys, in a recent game, D&D game, I snuck into a building through the chimney, and it was very rough.
That sounds scary.
Yeah. Were you being Santa Claus?
So once you've settled in to the Black Bile, which has honestly decent enough rooms, but again, the entire place here there really isn't wood structures. It's stone and metal,
I just love the idea of somebody giving Black Bile a 4 on Yelp. Surprisingly really nice, honestly. The rooms were kind of spacious.
The ale is actually really nice. I mean, it has a kind of awful name.
Awful name, but God, the ale was full bodied. It was tasty.
All the alcohol it has one word and then bile attached to it for some reason. It's like a naming scheme, but I think the people who speak common here don't know what bile means. I think there's a loss in translation there.
They're just orcs who just think bile is this good thing in common. They're just yes, it's a bile. I don't know why I made them Italian.
It's a bile.
All orcs are Italian now. Wait, I can.
Yeah, that's it. I'm already canceled. Yeah, orcs are Italian now.
Anyway,
you're right.
It's funny. My default name for orcs is Tony. Which is very Italian.
Hey Tony! Hey Tony, how's it going?
Will not accept orc racism in this chat.
I'm an orc.
Italian is fine.
Nothing wrong with orcs being Italian. I'm an orc stamp.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you.
Anyway, you can head to the Mithril Coil then. The Mithril Coil is kind of nestled in amongst a number of blocks where each of these blocks seems to be a different kind of smeltery. And certainly they are busy doing their jobs. The area here is smelting all kinds of material. It's billowing all kinds of smoke into the air. It is even amongst the various bits of pollution and stuff in the area, it's certainly throwing it out there. But nestled in amongst it is a kind of relatively medium-sized building, kind of set apart on its own. kind of this weird kind of circular metal shape, seemingly made completely out of metal, with none of like the stone actuation that a lot of these buildings have, where like it's almost like a basics of stone and like builds metal outside of it, almost kind of like, you know, mixing and matching a lot of times. This one is just pure metal, kind of curved building, with this almost like a big symbol of a mithril coil, which kind of has this kind of silvery kind of thing, kind of spring on the top of it. It's kind of got these set of double doors which are wide open, which out front of there seems to be all kinds of business going about. A large number of dwarves dealing with other various dwarves, humans, other various beings that are from in the area. There are some, you know, there's a couple halflings working there too. They're seemingly doing businesses and picking up, like, you know, things. Like, some of them are looking at, like, bars of metal. Others are seemingly, like, talking with stuff about things. So it's a very busy kind of thing outside of these double doors leading into this building.
Okay. I enter the building.
Alright.
I don't know who's all with me. I think we're just Revia. I don't know if anyone else.
Yeah, I'm chilling with you. I'm here to help negotiate if you need it.
Entering
I'm a negotiation person, so I probably should stay back.
Entering inside the building, there's a kind of beginning room, which is actually like kind of a large, almost workshop chamber. There's probably more to this building than this, but this takes up a large section of the building already just in here, with a workshop where there's all kinds of strange devices and things being built. There's like a half-assembled, some form of clockwork golem that they're working on. Someone appears to be developing some kind of strange device that, as far as you can tell, just has this arm that has like a spike on the end that goes up and down. You're not sure what the hell it's supposed to do, but you can see someone's working on it. There's just all kinds of things going on here, and people just working on projects or developing things, and things coming in and out. And certainly you're just being ignored as you kind of walk in.
No, that's fair. We're just.
Yeah.
We're just
No, that's fair. They're busy. They are busy people.
And like, yes, mostly dwarves here, but they do seem to be like some like other humans and stuff that
They're both
not only working, but
women, well, humanish women.
But there are people that are just working here, so even like people that are coming in for business or stuff too. So it's like, it's not outside the reason. You could just be here for some kind of business, but, you know, none of them are the people you're looking for because they don't know you're the people you're looking for, kind of thing.
Yeah. Would I get a sense there's someone I would talk to try and get, like, I guess a meeting for appraisal of stuff?
Ooh. I guess a knowledge local would kind of determine who would be the kind of important people to speak to.
That's 22, it's not awesome.
I could try to see if I can help you.
Well, were you with them?
Or, I mean, I'll do my own for, you know.
Were you
see
there
if
with
I-
them, Chester?
Oh, yeah, I was coming with them.
Oh, I missed that, sorry.
22, which is
But
it's
yeah,
not great.
You can go ahead.
I'll try. Yeah, 18.
Well, it's a 24.
Oh, yeah, 24, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like look around, and I mean, the thing is, a lot of people are just busy all the time. But like, certainly, kind of like looking around and judging the room, there does seem to be a number of people that seem to be doing more, less working on something and more talking with a lot of people. And you can see someone that seems to be done talking. Are they the person you speak to? I don't know, but you could probably interrupt them. They're done whatever deal they were working on, and they haven't started something else up.
Well, politely walk up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to get work appraised here?
What? Wait, you're not the person I was just dealing with?
No, I don't know where the person went.
Did I finish? We might have finished.
Sorry if I interrupted.
I don't know if you did or not.
Well, it's probably not a problem then.
They'll kind of like take like a pile of papers that they have, kind of shuffle them and like kind of like look around, and they'll find some place where it looks like they'll look around. They'll shove it in some place where you're pretty sure is a pretty awful place to store paperwork, but they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's engineer life.
just gonna like they just, like lift up something, kind of put it under there, and so it's like halfway out from underneath it. They're like, oh, okay, that's fine. There. What do you want then? Judge something? Look at something?
Well, I'm a gunsmith, and I'm new to the city. Trying to get my work appraised.
Well, look, are you trying to get a job, or what do you need?
Well, I was hoping to maybe get in contact with someone for patronage. And I was told this may be the best place to do such a thing.
Look, I'm not saying that we're not great place, but if you're looking for gun stuff, we're probably not the best guild for guns, necessarily. You'd probably want to check in with some folks in Skyside for them. They use most of the... They deal with most of the new gun tech and stuff. Where do you say you're from? Are you just from outside? Develop something?
Yeah, I'm from a island chain to the west, and she'll kind of put one of her many bags out and pull out.
You actually see, when you say to the west, he'll start thinking about it and be like, west? You don't mean east?
No, west.
You, like, cross from the west?
Yes.
Oh no, we didn't walk from the Moagi Expanse.
You went around? Like, up around or down around?
We used magical means to get closer to Alkenstar.
Fancy.
She will kind of dig through the bag, and she will pull out her pepperbox rifle, which is enhanced with clockwork she learned from the Aslantean.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so I'll take a look. I don't know what I can tell you, but I can at least take a look if it might be... I can tell you if whatever you're working on might be something interesting. So he'll kind of like brush into like a bag of his and kind of pull out like a set of like what looks to be kind of strange goggles with adjustable lenses and stuff, and pull out a number of like tools and stuff, and start taking like a quiet look over it. Like first kind of like taking a look at the gun, kind of moving certain goggles around you to kind of investigating it heavily, kind of like looking at different things, taking a look at the clockwork, kind of like, you know, using the tools to kind of like move the gears and stuff and things like that, and kind of investigate it for a while. And it'll be like 10-15 minutes of like looking over it before the person will put his tools down, kind of like lift his goggles up to his head and be like, interesting stuff here. I honestly don't know if it's anything better than what the folks and some of the other guilds are working on, but it's unique. That I can tell you. Some of these things here are a little bit different ideas than I think I've seen before. I can't say that someone's been working on them somewhere, but it's interesting nonetheless. You got pretty good ideas here. You want a job or something?
I unfortunately won't be here for long, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like, I mean... You know, I mean, no offense, but you're not a dwarf, but we do occasionally take some humans and others into the guild, you know, when necessary. We're a little bit unusual in our part of the guild as we, you know, deal with some of the others. There's plenty that don't really like leaving the hold, the Sky Citadel. Old fears, you know, Manaways kind of suck.
The island I do hail from is resource rich, so I suppose it could be possible if you'd be interested in expansion there one day, and I could try and keep in contact.
How long are you staying in town?
It'd be like probably a week or two, right? I imagine, because we gotta do trade negotiations. We gotta wait for passes and shit.
Yeah, probably at least a week.
Probably at least.
Yeah,
a
negotiations are annoying.
Okay. Where are you staying?
I'll give the name of the shitty inn.
Black Bile?
Yep.
Oh, have you had the black bile at the Black Bile?
It didn't look appealing to me.
It's great shit, man.
I'll have to give it a try.
Yeah. Honestly, when I can't get back home and I gotta spend a couple of days and nights here in the old cots, pretty good. Look, if I could get you into the hole, definitely we could get you some real great alcohol. But it's the next best thing. I recommend it.
Since I will be in the city for at least a week, I wouldn't be opposed to doing some work in the meantime here.
Show up tomorrow morning. See what you can do. Get you some work done. And I'll talk to some people about your interesting ideas. Again, not our forte most of the time. But you got some interesting ideas with clockwork. As you can see, we make some of the clockwork soldiers a little bit here. Granted, that one there, one of the man-sized ones, they aren't one of the major ones. The big ones like guard the gates, those are other engineering guilds group. But we developed these ones that are a bit more on the industrial side rather than battle ready. It's a lot of what we do here, industrial-based stuff. It doesn't mean we don't have some people in our guild that do deal with weapons and such. It's Alkenstar.
Or a nod.
Mm-hmm. All right. He'll go back to his work and leave you to your thing, going back to the inn. So, you can spend some days working with the guild here, getting some work done, and stretching your engineering kind of side of things. Because certainly, a lot of the things that kind of are... you feel as though almost you're getting kind of tested on stuff. Because, there are certain things that they're having you take a look at, here and there, and kind of, assist different individuals on working on things. So you'll have a project where you're working on a new a new winch system, a new steam-powered winch system that's supposed to help with with lifts and stuff like that. And then another day you'd be working on that strange thing that was supposed to kind of punch holes. It looked like. Turns out that's something for attempting to do farm work. It's supposed to punch holes. But what it's supposed to also do too is inject a alchemical solution into the soil in the hole and a seed at the same time, basically to try to maximize getting something to work and efficiently. Because unfortunately, stuff don't grow very well around here.
It's a desert.
It's a wasteland.
Wasteland. It's really bad for crops and animals.
Yeah, so they're using machines to basically... The idea is to try to plant as much as quickly as possible, and if some of it survives, grand. You've made progress, it's... They're still trying for some quality, but it's a lot times quantity, and that's using some tech to try to do it, and stuff like that. At the same time, probably, I would think, would you be first? Sure? Because I could do either side of you. Next. We're at 11:44. Why don't we start the meeting side, and then we'll do more Misty engineering stuff next time. So we'll get to that. Anyway, so in a few days' time, you will be contacted with a messenger to head to the bridge with the meeting with a person. To at least have being escorted across.
Yeah, then we'll show up. We'll pull up to the bridge.
Yes.
And I guess we'll be in our nice clothes.
Yeah.
I can wear my clothes over my armor, actually, so I think I'm usually wearing
She
nice
will be in
clothes.
her
right now.
nicer clothing as well. Although she might not
Yeah,
be here.
same here.
She might be engineering currently.
So, when you arrive, you won't see that captain, but a small escort of 4 soldiers in their uniforms will be there waiting for you. They'll be like, we are to escort you into the Sky City, I got to see if I have a name of the government building. I might not have one because it might not be provided. Again, not a lot of information.
True. The 2E book for that.
I'm hoping that we get like another large book on it because we only have.
It's an adventure path.
The adventure path has stuff on Smoke Side, though. Unfortunately, a lot of. So knowing what important buildings are on Sky Side isn't really included in that very much. So, unfortunately for me, they'll lead you into there's the thing about Sky Side is it certainly lives up to its name to a degree.
It's in the sky.
Well, I mean, looking at artwork of Alkenstar, they also, you've probably noticed, honestly, blimps in the air during this time period. Because they have those, too. They got airships, at least. Which is kind of cool. But Skyside is massive metal towers that are basically some kind of weird constructed, using various, metals and clockwork, skyscrapers that go to the sky. And you'll be led to this one that kind of probably goes up hundreds of feet high, That's Skyside. It has buildings which stretch above the smog.
Do you think we could build one of these guys?
Misty does not answer.
I look at you.
You'll be led inside, and basically, you are going to take an elevator up one of these buildings.
Yeah, this is weirder than teleportation.
Well, it's like you think about it. They had dumbwaiters back then. You do. It's not.
Did the Shackles have that? I don't.
Probably not the Shackles. No.
Bro,
Alkenstar is almost like it's got levels of technology which go beyond the Renaissance. The rest of Galarian's very Renaissance era. This Alkenstar has basically super advanced technology to maybe not 1900s.
Yeah.
Or the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. Kind of to a degree. So certainly they've had a chance to develop this, and they're doing a good job of continuing to advance it. It's so interesting to see that there's a technological advancement of a city in a planet of magic, because magic keeps a lot of the other technologies down, and when people need to survive against a horrible wasteland full of mutants, they're resourceful and invent shit up the wazoo. Anyway, you'll head up into a skyscraper where the doors will open, and you will be in a massive grand chamber decorated with all kinds of strange metallic architecture, with things that are kind of like sculptures made of various unusual metals. None of them are precious metals, though. Not precious in the sense of gold, silver, platinum. There is things you'll see the crowning piece of this kind of almost statuesque collection of this kind of chamber is probably something that you've seen the metal before. It's made of adamantine. But it's a much smaller but more well done statue in comparison to the others. Others, a lot of them are things like steel and stuff like that are making these sculptures. And there's this kind of set of doors where as you kind of arrive and the guards will leave you behind, this kind of well-dressed kind of squirrely man will kind of walk up to you and be like, "Are you the travelers from a distant island, yes?"
Correct.
Yes.
Most excellent, most excellent, most excellent. I will inform her that you're here.
Who are we meeting with? So I'm
They will ignore you and just basically go through open the double doors, head inside, close them behind them.
Okay.
But as they close them, they'll kind of open up and say, just take a seat. And please try not to get things too dirty for the cleaners.
I sit down in like the whatever seats the.
They're probably like these metal seats with like that are like kind of crafted very finely with these nice, very very nice cushions on them and stuff like that too, like some padding and stuff. There is an extravagance to this entire area here, definitely. The doors will open up again and be, please come inside.
Hey, yeah.
This will go.
There's a massive office. Both sides of the walls are decorated with countless firearms. All different firearms. Ones that range from very simple things like flintlocks all the way to some kind of like the rifles that you see here, and a lot of different ones. It's a gun collection on either side of the wall. You will see that there's this kind of massive desk and a number of chairs set up. On the desk, of course, there is a kind of like a platter set up with what looks to be a pot with either tea or coffee or something in it, with some cups and some small, like looks like kind of like baked goods, cookies or something. There is a person, a woman, kind of looking out over this massive glass window out over the city. And she will turn towards you once you arrive as, please, take a seat. Perhaps I should introduce myself. I'm Trader Rika. Welcome to my city. Welcome to Alkenstar.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Trita. I'd like to extend the hand to shake.
She'll come over and do it. You definitely recognize the name. She is the Grand Duchess of Alkenstar.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Myste is kind of admiring the firearms.
What brings the new up-and-coming Lords of the Shackles to my little town?
You're well informed. I tried to keep it lesser known to the others of the town. People probably have a visceral reaction to hearing about it.
Information is key to many things, and I, for one, as she's going to kind of turn around and kind of go sit behind the desk, have been a partial one to bring our wonders to the world. The outside world requires something of a change, and Alkenstar can bring it.
Well, you knowing we're from the Shackles actually makes this negotiation significantly easier, as I don't have to slightly lie. Well, we're going to have a conflict soon against the Hurricane King, and he will be deposed in this conflict. We require your guns.
Before we continue with your negotiations, because honestly, what you're saying, I made assumptions that that was what was going on. But there is something that interests me most interestingly out of all of your everything you've done. Miss Curtov, isn't it?
Yes.
Where'd you figure out what you're doing with that weapon?
Well, I kind of figured it out myself, actually. I was a budding alchemist, and well, the powder I made many years ago is not as fine as what I can get from here. It functioned well enough for a project.
Interesting. It seems quite revolutionary and much more different than anything that would have found its way to the Shackles.
Well, It helps when you have companions who take you to all kinds of wonderful and dangerous places, including Aslanti ruins where you can observe their machinery.
Functioning Axlanti machinery?
Indeed.
Interesting. Very interesting. Certainly I could see that would be an inspiration for a little bit of engineering.
It's so inspiring, it's a part of my body, and she'll pat her leg.
Honestly, we will have to discuss that at Wink's Tea.
Of course.
She's going to kind of port. This is technically something a bit of local. It's a little bit more difficult to find, as honestly not a lot of stuff grows. But along the riverbanks, occasionally we get these very fine plants that are, well, not edible, but they make a fine tea to drink. Just as you can see, we have to go through a process to make our rivers drinkable.
Yes.
It's unfortunate thing that the pollution of the mana waste is a very difficult problem to deal with.
I've heard tales. Being here is certainly an experience.
You would not be the first individuals that have come from the Shackles that have made deals with Alkenstar and with myself over the last decade. And certainly, both yourselves and many others in amongst the Expanse find our weapons quite popular. I want to make a deal with you. With a lot of you. As much as those people on the High Parliament would like to deny it, I'm really the person in charge around here. Granted, I can't get around them all the time. You have to find ways to work with them. They do represent our citizens as a whole. And that means I make many decisions on what's going on. And certainly, as much as some of it isn't going to be helpful, certainly that leg of yours and that device of yours work without magic. So, I hear tell you've contacted some friends in one of our local guilds. Yes?
Yes, I have.
Rumor has it you were suggesting a branch outside of Alkenstar for some engineers. Why, that's a little outside of our purview of things. Certainly the Mithril Coil doesn't have as many deep secrets as, per se, some of our other guilds. Having a few members show up somewhere else wouldn't necessarily be a problem, especially if some strange ruins could be explored by them and perhaps something a little bit more helpful could be found to bring back. And in turn, you can have your weapons.
So, to make sure I'm understanding this, you set up a place in the Shackles. We, help make sure it's set up, and you give us the weapons? Am I missing something?
That's pretty much it. But allowing them to perhaps check out a few locations you've visited?
Oh, I understand. I look to Misty. I don't see why not.
Could be an issue.
I mean, it's a little dangerous. So we can't guarantee anything, but we could do our best. It's like an island that is boiling water.
Interesting.
So, and there's a giant like creature that lives in the volcano or something like that.
Creatures,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a whole mess. All right, but yeah, we could do what we can. We know the guy that lives there. We kind of helped him out.
What fascinating stories you have.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And here I thought my life was interesting with cannon-wielding giants, strange monsters in the sands, and stuff like that.
I mean, it does sound interesting. I just think we
You
both
know-
have interesting lives. Kind of cool.
I would prefer
Yeah,
to
you
live a
know-
much less interesting life.
I think I would get bored if my life was less
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm old. You are not.
Yeah, you're like almost dead, right? I'm joking.
You see,
Tips your teeth.
I see potential in what you're doing, though, too. I'm smart enough to know that we aren't going to provide top-of-the-line things, because, honestly, plenty of the top-of-the-line things never find their way outside of Alkenstar, but I can send you, Generation 3 firearms, I think, would be fine. Simple rifles.
Are they like this? And I pull out a revolver. Are they like anything like this?
That would be something along the same lines as what we sent you. Revolvers, rifles, the basics like that.
Yeah, I mean, those are great.
I can also provide you with alchemical cartridges. All those would be perfectly acceptable for the level of things that we can send you. They tend to find their way into places like the Shackles anyway.
Do you have any like super powered cannons?
Generally speaking, we do have supplies of cannons. And again, you still will have to pay for these things.
Oh, of course.
Market
Yeah.
price. I can probably negotiate a slight discount. Let's say... 5%?
Sounds lovely, and you know, we'll have a long and happy relationship if we succeed in our
Excellent.
victory.
Well, that's the other thing that I've been thinking about, and perhaps there's things to discuss once you are complete your victory or not. Regardless, I would personally really like for the location for the guild to be established in a place that's a little bit more out of the way, neutral to whatever conflict you might have.
We do
Uh,
have Peregrine
neutral.
Gold Island. Currently,
We
not
own
really-
that though.
Well, we kind of took it by force, and no one else has laid claim to it, so I think it's ours.
Yeah. What do you call it? We let Hog rule over Garnet Island. Yeah. Well, out of the way. That's a little difficult for us to set up because we are directly the conflict.
Find a location, establish it, and I can send a contingent of appropriate engineers, and I could probably spare a detachment of shield marshals.
Okay. You want a place out of the way that won't get like in any conflicts ever? I know. a
Out
spot.
of your main conflict, it doesn't need to be completely out of the way, but enough for them to take care of the business that they need to, and honestly, them to be able to, even if it's with your help, access the location that has been discussed, and afterwards have that accessible in case you would be unable to assist. As I would prefer you to be victorious, I'm honestly going to plan for any result. I don't know how things are going to go.
Yeah.
Must be practical.
We have there's two spots I can think of. We own a small island that has a nice defensive structure on it that no one really cares about. Tidewater Rock. It's a tower. We have guards stationed there, and it's kind of like, you know, it's on a trade route, but like no one really cares about it. So we could set them there. It's also closer to the location you guys want to get to. There's also a place of a friend of ours that's neutral, Rickety Squibs. He squib ships.
Interesting.
He's a no-fight zone type of situation, you know?
How about this? I can arrange for a shipment of firearms to arrive in... Name your city.
A month?
In 1
Cool.
month. What city?
That's great. They can, Drenchport will be fine.
Alright. Drenchport.
It's a big city. You could do Quent, but Drenchport's closer. You don't have to go through as much of the Shackles. That's why I would suggest it.
Alright.
Our friend is the ruler of the island. Of the city. So
that helps.
Our town is quite small. No big proper dock yet, too.
The ship will deliver the first set of weapons, and then afterwards, it will also deliver the individuals that I'm hoping you'll have prepared a place for them.
Yep, we can get lodgings constructed on Tidewater.
Excellent. Now, there is one issue in this, and we do have to do some paperwork, and I should introduce you to a number of individuals at a more proper meeting. And honestly, I can paint things in such a way that I can convince a number of individuals to go along with this. I would have enough of the council to do it. It just take me a few days. But still no, Miss Curtov, you would have to put possession this concept to appropriate members of the guild that you've been working with.
Of course.
I can put in a good word and help speed up the process of you meeting the right person.
Mm-hmm.
But you will still have to convince them, and I hope you can. The exact nature of the material that you have, as much as I am interested in it and would love to, well, perhaps I can get a chance once you are in the hold itself to come down there and meet after you finish the deal, and we can all take a look together. I am quite curious as it myself. As much as I am a politician, I am, like you, a lover of firearms at heart. I, in fact, have built half of the weapons in this room myself.
They are quite impressive.
Some are more antiques now, and, well, a little bit harder to construct with the materials at hand, and some are a little bit more experimental, and I wouldn't want to try to recreate them. But it's a collection that represents Alkenstar's development.
I understand. My early attempts would not be the best to show.
Nonsense. Come now.
Misty will kind of nod and pull out her first prototype, which is the double-barreled pistol.
Yes. You came about from nothing and helped develop some wonderful versions of weapons that maybe you even perhaps heard rumors of, or something experimental outside the purviews of things that were invented or in circulation within the shackles to a grand degree. That is an impressive thing. A self-made gunsmith.
Well, it's engineering comes natural to me.
Have you ever considered diving deeper into that engineering?
I have begun with some of my firearms dabbling in clockwork, and I would like to one day hopefully make attempt at constructs, but I'm far off from that.
I will leave an open-ended offer, since it seems like you are invested in the materials in the Shackles. Move to Alkenstar. It would be outside the range of influence of any old enemies or anything like that, and certainly I can find you a high position in any guild, or perhaps form something of your own. There's always space on the High Parliament for a member of the Council that would be willing more to listen to many things that I would want, and you'd have many excuses to get into plenty of more inventions. And I'm sure you've seen things here that would quite interest you.
I will consider your offer.
Excellent. Now then, please enjoy your tea. And, well, I'll ensure you get some passes. You'll be able to head into the Sky City, but unfortunately, as outsiders, it would be a little bit harder for you to stay around. Generally speaking, usually dignitaries from much larger countries get a little bit more flair when they come into the city, and even though you are, well, your small islands are outside that purview of something important, and I could certainly vouch for you, but we must work with the Parliament. So, if you would not mind continuing to stay at your inn.
That's fine. I'm used to having to do dumb negotiations of laws and structures or whatever. You get used to it.
She'll kind of ring a bell, and the kind of well-dressed man will kind of come in. Once you're like finish your tea and stuff, and be like, please escort them to the elevator. Take them down to the second floor. Have them issue a special guest pass. They are business people from a foreign nation. Give that information there. And she'll kind of list off some things that basically is be like, effectively, kind of like, it's where you're allowed to be to a degree. Because again, like, it's not that you can't wander anywhere. And she's going to tell you this. The pass allows you into Skyside. It's not that you can't wander anywhere, but you do a little bit stand out. Even the fashion you have is outside of Alkenstar fashion. Granted, you could always get some clothes that would match here, but, that's up to you. Authorities that would see you would question you and want you to see your passes if you're outside of that. But really, again, it's just a matter of Skyside keeps the order in Alkenstar. As much as part of me dislikes the nature of what is Smokeside, it drives our city and attracts so many of the individuals that drive the innovation here. The innovations and that which is built to Alkenstar comes from Smokeside, as much as those that live over here would like to deny it. We have to find harmony. Anyway.
I understand.
Till another day, then. And will let you go, and we will end it there. As the conversation went a little longer than I wanted, but, hey. We finished it up. I'm going to tell you, most of the stuff we can kind of pass over what the rest of that kind of negotiation will be. It'll be kind of like a couple of meetings and stuff like that to kind of formalize stuff that, you're setting up this entire thing. So there's one last thing to do, and that's Myste is going to be going on a trip to a Dwarven Sky Citadel.
Sounds fun.
Oh yeah, dwarves.
Dwarfs. Which are technically like mountain fortresses that are both sometimes above and below ground, but they're built into like a giant mountain. They're called Sky Citadels because they were built during the Quest for the Sky, which was dwarfs coming from deep below ground to the surface, and they aren't really on the surface. That's why. If anybody's questioning, they don't actually involve the sky. It's dwarfs just wanted to be able to see it.
True. They don't get to see it though.
It's just like a glass roof.
No, it's more like they have like cave entrances or entrances to the side of a mountain that they can kind of be like, oh, hey, that's nice. We found the sky. We still really like the dark and digging and stuff like that.
Freaking dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Some of them actually
By
are built
doors.
outside, like on top of mountains and stuff like that too. But like Durgon Hold, I think there isn't a large portion of it that is above ground at this point in time. There is some left, but they kind of, went a little bit underground. Anyway, we can talk about that later and deal with that next week. And we'll finish up in Alkenstar, because I don't think that'll take that long. So then, what is your next plan? Just to review it, do you want to have some meetings with some people? Do you want to take care of one of the next locations? Because I can start setting that up.
As soon as we get back, Misty would probably set sail to go deal with the other meetings.
Do you want to do Parisia first, and then head back on the way back to Absalom?
Yeah, Misty would probably do Varisia first and then Absalom later.
Okay. And I kind of told them, I'll establish it, that you have a Jacub, you have Sending that you probably stay in regular contact with people.
I
And then
have Sending.
Jacub can scry on a location and teleport you there. So, you can be like, I'm going to go sail there. If you want to join and help me, I wouldn't mind you. I can call you when I get there, from my boat, Misty's taking the hard part, and you're, doing all the work around the shackles and being called upon, to do stuff.
Yeah, and setting up a place in Tidewater Rock and shit.
On the super diplomat mission.
Yeah. No.
Talking to your dad.
Try to talk to Dad. He's
Alkenstar.
leading some kind of war against Cheliax or something.
I mean, he's
Doing something up there.
involved in the entire conflict with it.
Misty has never met this man in her entire life.
Giga-based.
Yeah. Anyway.
I can also volunteer to go talk to the performers
I mean, that's something you can do.
while things are going on.
I can just say you do that too. That's something we don't really have to roll out. You've already met them.
I wouldn't mind going back there.
Yeah.
Performance?
Yeah,
The one on the one island that the College of Bards you were kind of involved with a little bit.
Oh, the Tian bards, like that.
Yeah. But we'll worry about that kind of all next time. I'll start setting up the Parisian stuff. I have a lot of stuff set up for the people you go and meet and stuff. I have ideas about them, so I'll have material ready then. But we can finish up Alkenstar pretty much for a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes at the beginning. I don't think the meeting will take that long. We'll pretty much be chatting with some person and arranging some stuff and kind of be cool that way. So, let's do shout-outs. Erik, do you have anything to shout out? Can't hear you if you're speaking.
I think the big dead.
Sorry, Mike. Yes, I am here. So I have nothing.
All right.
For shoutouts.
Nice.
Momo, do you have anything?
You can catch me on discussing tabletop, though I am going to be taking a short break from the podcast for some mental health reasons. Got a lot going on. And you can probably catch me in various Discords shouting about how good Baldur's Gate 3 is, because I've been playing it nonstop.
Sal, anything to shout out?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Joe. That too. All right. Myself, the illustrious DM and host here, Tantanaravan Dracovin. You can find me pretty much every day except Saturday, streaming here for various things. If you want to see gaming streams, I do a bunch of that on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in the morning. Tabletop related stuff other than this game here, which I run, discussing tabletop as it was mentioned on Saturdays. And if you want to see some stuff where I talk about a lot of times tabletop lore, sometimes mechanics and stuff like that, and go into deep dives, I stream that on Tuesdays, Thursdays in the early afternoon, Saturdays in the late morning, and then those go up on YouTube. This will eventually go up on YouTube, of course, too. So in any of those places, remember to give support. If you're watching here on Twitch, give a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, give a subscription, like, comment. Always wonderful to have you in chat. Most of the time, we're not going to respond, but people will probably type it up, like Momo and Joe and other folks.
I like chat sometimes.
Yeah.
I watch you people.
Yeah. So, they'll chat with you at very least if we don't respond physically during the entire thing, too. Yes. And then, and just shout out, go keep in contact with us. And I do have a Discord and Twitter, where those are great places to see my schedule and occasional brain farts and things. Oh, I'm sorry, website formerly known as Twitter.
I have one of those. I don't open it anymore.
Yeah, please call it by its proper name of X.
I'm gonna call it the website formerly known as Twitter from now on. It's
like, I don't open it anymore because I feel weird having a thing called X just on my browser. Like I'll walk away and then I'll be like, what the hell did I leave open?
It's just so bad.
I still want to know what is a tweet called now?
It's called a post now. And a retweet is called a repost.
That's so generic.
It is very generic.
Threw away the best branding he could ever have because he has an ego problem.
He really is the worst person ever. It's bad. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day, but not for this place. So, I think that's it for all the shout-outs. I hope you enjoyed. I felt like Alkenstar was one of those ones that was going to be a lot. These are going to be some big adventure kind of stuffs, and they are going to take up a big chunk of the number of episodes. But I like this. This is leading up to a lot of things. There's a lot of storytelling that, the end is in sight, but, it might be like, honestly, half a dozen to a dozen episodes before we finish. But still, I hope you enjoy the rest of this season. We're coming towards that climax. Thank you. And until the next week, everybody here, we're all going to say goodbye to you. So farewell. Till next time.
Bye.